So a little day in the life of me on my small urban homestead. Hi, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. My name is Asia. I am gardening, homesteading on a small plot of land in my backyard, and I do live in an urban environment. And so today I'm going to show you how I save my water. So let me push you down a little bit. So this is my little setup, and I plan to do this kind of around the house because this is not enough space. Well, this is not enough water for the amount of garden that I have. But anyway, I basically took the bottom of the gutter drain off, set a little tote under it, and then I moved the water when it rains. And then of course I lose water because it fills all the way up. But I move the water when it rains, and I'll show you where I move it to. Oh. All right, so I have 3 trash cans. Let's move you down a little bit. Actually, I have 4 trash cans. One is over there and it's not in the shot, so you can't see it. But I have 3 in this shot, trash cans that I dump the water in. And so that's what I do. In most cases, in some cases, if it's a busy day and I have other things to do, because it does take a little while to fill these up and bring it from across the other side of the garden. But in some days, I will ask my kids to do it, and sometimes I'll even pay them. All right, my next chore is the compost pile. So I have a compost bin and I have a compost pile. This is the pile. So basically, it is, a lot of it was leaves, a lot of it was chicken bedding, and then I throw table scraps in here every time I turn it. So I do cover it. I cover it because I don't want it to go anaerobic and get very, very wet. And then the other thing that goes in here are the grass clippings. So when my son cuts the grass, he puts the grass clippings in here. I have a little thermometer. This hasn't been turned in quite some time. And so this is where we are. Well, let's see. So just a little under 100. So we're steady. But in most cases, it's right at 100. I have never gotten it to 120 or 140. So it's gonna compost either way. It's just gonna take longer if it doesn't get super hot. So I like to use the fork. The bedding fork is what it's called. And I just go down into it. I don't know if you can see, but it's nice and dark in there. I also, let me show you this. This needs to be watered. It's also dry. Throw coffee grounds from Starbucks in here quite often. And sometimes if they don't have these bags, you can ask them if they just have coffee grounds. And if they do, sometimes they'll just give it to you in a bag. So I take that. No biggie for me. As long as I get them. Coffee grounds helps the pile heat up. So I just turn it so that the things that's on the outside end up in the inside. The things that's on the inside end up on the outside. Yeah, this is pretty dry. You need air. You need air, water, nitrogen, and carbon to create a compost pile that's actually going to compost and be beneficial to the plants in the end. I try not to use the city water often, but for the compost pile, I will. And today, it's gonna get used because like I said, this is pretty dry. Gonna make the hole in the middle. I'm gonna bring some of this over to you so you can see. Oh, it's a little warm. What I mean, whew, gotta be small. It is breaking down. And it could still be used if you sift it. So, before I put the things in the bag, I make sure that was like already decomposing. Smells pretty bad too. Sometimes I don't get out here like I should, like I said, but that's the whole point, is for it to decompose. My paper towels, I know some people just stop using paper towels. I just make sure I compost them. I like paper towels. That was also a drink carrier from McDonald's. It's compostable. I normally would break it up. I'm not sure why that ended up in there the way it did, but it's okay. Composting does not have to be difficult. It just doesn't. And I'm not making it difficult in my situation. So now I'm just gonna build the mound back up, basically. And the compost, as long as it's balanced, is going to cover the smell. It's gonna mask the smell. Like that bag of already rotten food that didn't get in here in time, you won't be able to smell. So the next chore is the chickens. Oh my God, we're crooked. Let's see. We may have to stay crooked. Have a new tripod ring light coming today. I'm messy now. The next chore is the chickens. So my chickens, it pecked me. My chickens, they don't really free range much. We let them out for a few hours every day with someone watching them because I have a dog, and the majority of the backyard is garden and they will eat the garden. So I have their bedding out here in one of these trash cans, as well as food, treats, and their grit. And so normally in the morning before I leave for work, I come out and I check. Oh, also the coop is from Tractor Supply. It was delivered like 3 something. It does the job, but there are pieces that's falling off. That's what I'm gonna say. That's my short review. I come out, so I have waters and feeders inside. This is empty. This is the one that we had when they were babies, because we raised them from baby chicks, 1 day old. So there's a waterer here and a feeder here. In the summer, we went out of town a little while ago, short story, for my daughter's birthday, and because we don't have predator pressure like I mentioned earlier, we didn't put them away or have anyone put them away. We just made sure that they had enough water and food. And so at this point, they don't go in the coop at night anymore. But for when they do have to go in the coop, we have a feeder, which I clear any bedding out of, the wood chips. I think these are cedar wood chips. I clear it out, and then I give them more water, which I will do too. There's also larger waterers and feeders in the coop. They've gotten used to me taking it out, because at first they would peck me every time I went in. But now, as long as you move a little bit slower, they don't peck. But it gets dirty, so I just pour the water out and grab any of the larger pieces, and then I go and wash my hands. There is a feeder in here that's the same size from Tractor Supply, and we fill that too. That's already filled. I did it this morning. I don't know why this water is empty. I may not have checked it. I don't remember. So yeah. See, as long as I move slow, they don't peck me. So the gray ones, I don't know if you can really see them, are Brahmas. I don't know if I'm saying that right. We actually, funny story, when we got these chickens, it was like really quick, what do you call it? Not spare of the moment, but impulse buy by me and my daughter. I've always wanted chickens, but I just was like, I'm one of those people who needs to know everything. My daughter is not. And so we ended up getting chickens, like walked into Tractor Supply with no thought of getting chickens. I think we went for straw and ended up with chickens, coming home with chickens. And so we didn't even pay attention to what kind of chickens they were. We do know they're female, that they're hens, but we didn't know. So the black ones are black sex links, and the gray and white ones are Brahmas. They both lay brown eggs. Did want something that laid a colored egg, but I guess until these ladies are, till it's time for the next flock, we'll have brown eggs. But fresh eggs are fresh eggs, right? So I also try to find them some greens every day, whether it's just weeds from the yard or whether I can pull some leaves from some of the garden plants. I try to find them something green every day. The other thing that I have is grub terra treats. These were, I guess you want to say, gifted. They wanted me to try it and do a review. The chickens love them. I don't know if you can see them. They hear the bag and they come to the thing. I'll probably give them a treat since they're being so good on camera. And then chick grit. Chickens don't chew their food, so it goes through the gizzard, and chick grit helps it to break down. So I give them chick grit, like I think every other day. I just throw it in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and give them their treats because they've been so good. I need to get more. I normally just throw a handful in there. And they love it. So that is the chicken care on most days. Good evening. So it is Tuesday afternoon. I just harvested some basil. Things are looking a little blah around here. It's been really hot. The beetles are getting to my bean plants, and these are newer bean plants. I'm just leaving them though because the beans are definitely still producing. It's just some holes in the leaves. So what I'm doing tonight, what I'm doing tonight is making some homemade fertilizer. So this is the last bucket of it. I used it already. So what I'm gonna do, I have been doing it with weeds and comfrey. I have comfrey in pots over here. Yeah, right there. So I'm gonna pull the comfrey leaves, the larger ones. They were getting bigger than this, but somewhere along the line, they started getting smaller. So I'm pulling the larger comfrey leaves. And next year, I wanna actually try to use comfrey medicinally. I watched the Stivers Homestead, and they make, I think, like a comfrey salve, and it's good for aches and pains externally, not like for cuts and bruises type things, but like if you have achy muscles, I think is kind of what it's for. I didn't grow enough this year to do that, but next year I do want to try that. But it grows back really fast. Like I've done this a few times and basically just take as many as I can of the larger leaves. And I have two. This one I'm not gonna mess with because it's still regrowing from the last time I pulled leaves. And you can use this as a chop and drop too. I just feel like, so that's what it looks like now. I probably could pull a few more, and this is what I have. I might pull a few more, but for the sake of time and because it's getting dark, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I do. So I just take the comfrey leaves, and there's some already going. It smells horrible, by the way. I just put them in, and then I put the brick over top of it to weigh it down. And then I just cover it with water. So I showed you earlier in the video how I harvest water. I do wish I had left some over there, but I didn't. So I'm going to harvest some water and fill that bucket with water. Then I'm just gonna, there's mosquitoes out here. I normally at this point try to come out with sleeves on, sleeves and pants. The kids are in the front, not my kids, somebody's kids making a bunch of noise. But so that's my rainwater. No idea why they're screaming like that, but that's sometimes the piece of being in the garden in an urban area is disturbed. It's not like being out in the country. So just gonna pour that in. Ooh, my goodness, it disturbed some of it that was already in there. It smells bad. But anyway, just gonna pour it in. I'm gonna cover it up. I'll let it sit for a few weeks because at this point, most things are dying. I'll keep fertilizing the things that are in the pots and like the eggplants, but I'm not really fertilizing the beds too much. Look at that gross pool. I'm draining it right now. I think I'm gonna have to move it because it's under a tree. It's ridiculous. So that's one of the other things that is, you know, a chore of an urban homesteader. Now, you could absolutely purchase fish emulsions, and I do have fish emulsions, or seaweed, kelp. There's a few, you know, organic fertilizers. I'm just trying to find ways to kind of save money and not have to spend money to grow my food. So this is one of the ways that I found online, and I've started using. So I have 4 buckets total, and this is what I do when I make fertilizer. There's 3 over here, but there's 1 on the other side.